Mark, welcome to the Chester Centurion podcast.
It's a pleasure, Alan.
So before we get started today, I'd love to know a little bit more about Limart. I'd love to know also a little bit more about your journey and how you've got to where you are today. Tell us a bit about the business.
Okay, so Limart really, it was never started as a business. It was started as a solution for me, for my own body image issues, and would never have thought we'd be at where we are today. So basically we make the world's coolest prosthetic leg covers for amputees all over the world, and that's the simple one.
So cool.
The start of the business is actually, you've got to go all the way back to 1982.
Wow.
So 1982, I was 10 years old, riding home from junior school. I just passed my cycling proficiency, best in class, the safest rider in the school.
Oh wow.
You kind of already start thinking of what's going to happen next. So I had the certificate in my rucksack, and then on the way home, a car came around the corner, didn't see me, and I ended up 20 foot over this stone wall with my bike wrapped around me.
Gosh.
So they rushed me into Glenclwyd Hospital in North Wales. It had just been finished. It had been open about a year. And then in the evening, the surgeon came out to speak to my parents and said he had some good news and some bad news. The good news was that King Charles, as he is now, and Princess Diana had just had a baby boy, which is Prince William, as we know him today. And the bad news was they couldn't save my leg. So that was the day I became an amputee. And even though several people said, try not to let it affect you, you know how people try and say these things at those kind of times, there was no way I was going to be able to forget it anyhow, because obviously every year on the news is my ampuversary, because it's Prince William's birthday.
All right, okay, so you remember the day that it happened.
You wake up in the morning, you go, oh yeah, June 21st, there we go, it's Prince William's birthday.
Gosh.
So if he's 42 now.
Okay.
43, yeah. So, and I remember waking up in hospital a couple of days after that, and my first realisation that I was an amputee was I wasn't brave enough to lift the covers, but you could see on the indents of the covers there was a leg on one side and there was no leg on the other. And I thought, it's not really a good start to life. Not going to be able to do a lot. Mum and Dad are going to have to feed me and take me to the bathroom and all these kind of things. Little did I know, I'd be sitting here 43 years later saying probably best day of my life. And if you put me back into the middle of the road and someone had said to me, there's a car going to come around the corner, I'd stay there.
My gosh. So you're saying that 42, 43 years later, someone could take you back to that moment, you'd stay on the road?
Absolutely, absolutely. Of course, you never know what the other road would have taken you down.
Yes.
But the only things I can go off is I've been super, super fortunate throughout my life. Also, Mum and Dad, I mean, we lost Dad years ago now, but they both said the kid that came home from the hospital was completely different to the kid that went into hospital. The one that went into hospital was very much a bit of a crybaby, didn't want to do anything, didn't know what he wanted to do, just looked out the window all the time. As the one that came home was very much a, got to get it done, if you're going to do it now, and really driven.
What do you think made that step change in your mentality?
I don't know. There's a couple of different thoughts on it. One is that you just, when you realise you've been so close to not making it, that you really understand what life is and enjoy life a lot better. One other one that's only really come to the surface over the last 5 or 6 years, because we've been doing a bit of a project with University of Wales on psychology and all these kind of things, is at the same time as I had the crash, I had a fairly big hit on my head. There. And
I can see.
I got such a to get the right side there.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. And that's the area that controls a lot of your emotions and stuff like that. So there is a remote chance I had some kind of brain injury that ended up making it positive rather than negative.
So you've woken up with one leg. I mean, for a 10-year-old, that's pretty traumatic. But you've got this different mindset where you're focused and you've got direction and you understand what you want to achieve in life.
Yeah.
Where did you go from there?
Well, it's where I started becoming lucky. So within the first couple of weeks in Glenclwyd Hospital, as I was recovering, they decided to put me into the hydrotherapy pool, just so I could move a little bit. And so the first session I did in the hydrotherapy pool with the physios, there was a gentleman by the name of Mick Jones there, and he'd slipped on the poolside and damaged a vertebrae in his back. So he was in hydrotherapy at the same time. Mick was the head coach of Rural Swimming Club, and I was scared of water. So the two bits came together. So Mick said to me and my parents, look, I'm the head coach of Rural Swimming Club. Do you want me to teach Mark how to swim? So, yeah, why not? So Mick taught me how to swim, and within a few days, I was ploughing up and down the pool, loved it.
Wow.
And Mick said that he's seen hundreds, if not thousands, of kids come through Rural Swimming Club over the years, and he spots ones that are just naturally gifted in the water. Mm-hmm. And he said, Mark's been swimming like he's been swimming for years, not just 5 days type of thing. So he says, I'd love to give him a free year enrolment in Rural Swimming Club. Mm-hmm. If he wants to come training in the morning, we swim from 5 till 7 in the morning. It'd be great to see him. And it was my first experience of someone just giving something, not wanting anything back, just generosity. And so I started training in Rural Swimming Club, loved it. So I was going 3 mornings a week. And then after about 3 months, there was the Rill, Prestatyn and Abergele championships on. Mick just entered me into them without asking. He says, oh, by the way, in 2 weeks' time, there's the championships. You're in for these races. So I won a couple of them, but I was on the podium for all of them. And Mick said, okay, you've been swimming like 3 or 4 months, and you're now beating kids the same age as you with 2 legs.
Oh, wait a minute. So the competition wasn't against other amputees?
No. This was able-bodied. The Rill Club was an able-bodied club.
Love it. Right, okay.
So he said, if you can beat them after such a short period of time,
yeah,
there's got to be disabled championships out there. So, of course, this is pre-internet or anything like that. So Mick found the British Sports Association for the Disabled, who are based down in Stoke Mandeville, Aylesbury, so the birthplace of the Paralympics. So he wrote to them. Again, it's before emails or anything. Physically scribed it on a piece of paper, stick it in the red postboxy thing, wait for 10 days for the answer to come back. So he said, is there a British Championships? And if so, what are the qualifying times? So they wrote back saying, yes, there is British Championships. This is what happens to them all. And here are the 4 qualifying times. So Mick showed me the qualifying times, and disappointingly, I mean, they were miles quicker than where I was. Miles away. To the point where you go, that's a... I mean, have a reaching target, but that's a little bit ridiculous.
Okay.
When you gain 0.1, 0.2 of a second or something, and you're like 12, 15 seconds behind. But
gosh,
Mick said, okay, rule number 1, at least we've got a target. So he wrote them down on his little pad, and every week we'd do 1 session where we'd do a bit of a sprint and see where I was. And every week, pretty much, bit quicker. So week by week, month by month, these times came down. Mick said, okay, let's drop breaststroke and backstroke, because fly and freestyle are the 2 that you're obviously making the best gains on, and we're the closest to the qualifying times. So we focused on them, and probably 4 or 5 months from getting the qualifying times, we were there or thereabouts. So Mick said, with the right environment, just you in the pool, so there's no waves or anything, we might be able to just be in for a shout on this one. So we did it on a Friday morning before everyone else started. It was Mick and Dennis Parr, sorry. You had to have 2 coaches to ratify the times. So I did the 100 fly and beat the qualifying time by about 0.5 of a second, and had a bit of a swim down, and Mick said, let's just try the freestyle, otherwise we'll do it next week. I did the freestyle and that one, beat it by 0.2, 0.3. Wow. So Mick then wrote back to the BSAD to say, Mark's now beaten the qualifying times. How do we get him into the championships? And I remember about a week later going into training one morning, and Mick was sitting at the end of the pool, and he just looked at me and he said, we need to speak. We really need to speak. And he'd had the letter back from the BSAD saying, dear Mick, thanks for your letter in the Times for Mark. Unfortunately, there's been some kind of misunderstanding. What we sent you wasn't the 4 qualifying times. What we sent you was the 4 British records.
The British record?
Yes. So what had transpired was 2 weeks before in training, I broke the British records in training. So they said, if Mark genuinely is this quick, the championships are on in Stoke Mandeville in 6 weeks' time. We'd love to get him down here.
How did that feel?
Yeah, it was fairly surreal.
Exciting.
Yeah. And it's a question I've never really been able to answer before, is if I'd have known they were British records instead of qualifying times, My attitude when I knew there were qualifying times was, oh my God, I am going to really have to pull my socks up, because these are the times just to even get into the championship. How quick must they be when they're in the championships? As if I'd have known they were the British records, you go, oh yeah, obviously they're going to be 14 seconds away. I don't have to work that hard because I'm only 14 seconds away from the... So I don't know. You'd never know.
Interesting. So the goal that you set, unbeknowingly, was to break the British record.
Yeah.
And that added focus and clarity to what you needed to do in the training.
Yeah, so 6 weeks later, I went down to Stoke Mandeville and came back with 4 British records and 4 gold medals.
Wow.
So I even got the breaststroke one, which I was never particularly very good at. But,
wow. So
of course, that got me recognised because nobody knew who I was when I turned up. Usually, looking back on my swim career, you can spot people coming up through the ranks. But of course, nobody knew who I was. So it got me swimming mainly around Europe and the UK.
Gosh.
Yeah, really.
What next?
Yeah, so 85, there was the first World Championships for disabled youth. They knew about the games about a year out from the games, but the games themselves, they didn't really know where they were going to hold them. And it was a choice of Barbados, Los Angeles or Nottingham. So I don't think I have to explain where they were in the end. They were in Nottingham, in the drizzle of Nottingham. But to be honest, at the time, I was more focused on swimming than where it was. So I went to Nottingham and came back with 2 golds and 3 silvers from there.
Congratulations, wow.
Which, of course, that's on the world stage then. So that gets you recognised a bit more. So 86, then at the end of 86, I got the letter from the British Paralympic Association to say that I'd been shortlisted for the 88 Seoul Paralympics. So that was when it gets really, really serious then.
Yeah.
So you're up in the training too every morning, every night, twice on a Sunday.
So what age are you at that point?
So I'm 16.
You're 16 years old?
Yeah.
And training for the Olympics?
Yeah.
What kind of mindset do you need to get up every morning at 5 a.m?
In the summer and stuff, it's all right. Because if you're winning events and stuff, you're getting fed energy all the time. The real tough ones are when training's not going very good, you're not really making the gains that you want to be making. It's mid-January, the alarm goes off at 4:30, you can hear the hail or the snow rattling on the window outside.
Gosh.
Then it's tough.
What keeps you going at that point?
Because you've got to win.
You've got to win.
You've got to win. That's the goal of swimming, is you've got to win. If you're not going to win, why finish?
So that you've got a single-minded focus, and that's the only thing that matters is winning.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think, and it's fine for people to say, yeah, but it's the taking part that counts. And that's fine. If you want to go there and take part, fill your boots, great. But you won't win with that kind of attitude. They'll be the ones that didn't win. And generally they say, the people that say it's the taking part that counts is the people that didn't win. They don't say it before the event, they say it after the event.
Well, I've heard Frank Bruno talk about this as well.
Yeah.
And 100%, you've got to be so focused. He says,
Yeah.
and you win in the training, you don't win at the event.
Yeah.
You win during the training.
Yeah.
So getting up at 4:30, raining, cold, making that journey to the pool, so important.
I remember in one of the big races we did, I was in the individual medley relay team. So I was doing the fly bit on it. And we got a silver as a team. And I remember sitting there going, because we didn't miss it by much, going, bugger. And one of my other teammates was also head down, what have we done? And the other 2 were jumping for joy because it's the first medal I'd ever had. And it was the first time you realise that's why we've lost, because me and Pete were in this relay to win. These were in to just get a medal. So and it's a clear thing of make sure your team is all got the same focus.
What I'm taking away from here is mindset and goal setting.
Absolutely, yeah.
What next?
So the first page of the letter saying you've been selected to go to Seoul was great positive news. The second page wasn't so positive because this is before lottery funding or anything, and it said don't forget you've got to pay for yourself. And it's £3,500.
Oh,
so disgustingly, doesn't happen today. Some people never went to Seoul not because they weren't quick enough, it's because they couldn't afford it, which is terrible because you've got to live with that for the rest of your life. I was, again, super lucky that I went to a Welsh school in St Asaph, Glenclwyd School, and S4C had started a year before that, the Welsh TV channel. Yeah. So all the stars from S4C came together and said, can we just put a concert on in Glenclwyd School?
No way.
And it was 1,500 people came at £20 a ticket or whatever it was. But we basically raised £7,500 in 6 weeks flat.
Congratulations.
So it paid for me and someone else. Well, it paid for two people, because at the time you don't know whether you're going. They decide 12 weeks before the competition who's going. And then I made the final cut out to Seoul. And then Seoul was a real pivotal Paralympics, because up until Seoul, the Olympics was run at the same time as the Paralympics, which is where the word Paralympics comes from. Parallel Olympics is what it stands for.
Ah, okay, I didn't know
A lot
that.
of people think it's paraplegic. It's not. It's Parallel Olympics, because they run at the same time. The Korean government said, we're not doing this. Number one, we don't have two sets of facilities. We've just spent £1 billion on all the new facilities for the Olympians. We're not going to do like previous countries have done and put the disabled athletes up in school dorms and let them swim and compete in substandard facilities. They said, why don't we just change the timing? We'll run the 6 weeks of the Olympics to start with, we'll have a week's gap, and then we'll run the whole thing again using exactly the same facilities.
Beautiful.
And that's what they agreed to do, and it's been the format ever since. So it was a real pivotal Paralympics, that one.
Very good.
And I got bronze in my 100 freestyle. 100 fly was my big one. And I remember coming up the last length on my 100 fly. And it was generally always me and Michael Bouchery that were in the finals, the two kind of quickest ones around the world. And I touched the wall, looked across, Michael was there. Michael had touched the wall, looked across and seen I was there. Neither of us knew who'd won. And I remember just swimming back a little bit into the pool to look at the board. But at that time, electronics were still fairly basic, and the board results didn't come up until the last person had touched.
Okay.
So this guy is 6 seconds behind you. It's like the longest 6 seconds of your life. And then he touched the wall, and I'd missed gold by 0.2.
Oh.
It was like, and of course, Michael's
Punching air.
punching the air. And so I flew back from Seoul feeling fairly dejected, chucked my medals in the bottom of the bag, and because it is that you've got to win. That's, if you don't win, you can't be happy about second or third. And I got back, I spoke to Mick and said, we're going to have to change training around somehow or other, because we're too tight. So we changed a few bits of the way we were doing our training, diet-wise and all sorts of things like that. And he said, let's just focus on, we knew in a year's time there was the World Championships out in Miami. So we stopped doing any local swimming or UK disabled swimming, just focused on that event, so you can peak at the right time. And I went out to Miami, virtual copy-paste of Seoul, and me and Michael Bouchery, lane 5 and 6 in the final.
Michael Bouchery is French, right?
Yeah, French for butcher. And virtual copy-paste, I remember turning for the last length in the butterfly and seeing Michael looking at me. He'd turned opposite, so he knew where I was. And we touched the wall. I looked across, Michael's there, Michael's looking at me. The guy is still 7 seconds behind, and so nothing's come up on the board. And then he touched the wall, and my name came up. I'd beaten, 0.25, something like that, 0.3.
Wonderful.
But then my name went red, because in butterfly, you have loads of rules and regulations, double-handed touches, and of course you've got electric pads either end, so you can't even fudge it with someone looking. You've got to touch these pads exactly at the same time. And you've got to come up before the lane ropes change colours and all these kind of things. And over my career, I'd been disqualified now and again from the odd race for breaking the rules, and I thought, I missed it again. And
Disqualified.
yeah, that's what I thought the red was. But then my coach came over and he said, it's gone red because you've broke the world record.
You've broke the world record.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that was really special. So that was a higher fist pump than Michael could do. So I flew back from Miami, landed in the UK, went to training actually the next morning or the morning after, but didn't take my kit bag with me. And I said to Mick, and I'd already told Mum and Dad, I'm going to take a week off. I haven't had a week off in 7 years of swimming, pretty much. Mick said, fine. We've got 3 years till Barcelona, so plenty of time to catch back up again, because if you take a day off, it takes you 2 days to get back to where you were. So taking a week off, you're looking at a month to get back to where you were. And a week became a month, and a month became a year, and never swam competitively again. Just didn't have that drive, target, and ambition to do the same again. Once you've done it once. So I absolutely take my cap off and admire the Olympians and Paralympians that are on their 3rd or 4th Paralympics, because the dedication to do that kind of thing for such a long period of time and keep winning.
Incredible.
Is yeah.
But you've been there, you've done it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
yeah,
celebrate
yeah,
that, and
yeah.
amazing. How did this turn into a business? What's the story? So we're now at the point where
Yeah.
you're world champion, you're an Olympian.
I'm a skint world champion. Because it's all funded, you don't get paid to do anything. And it's expensive. Travelling around all over the place, expensive. So I was a skint world champion. I was a board world champion.
Board.
Because I knew, on hindsight, I should have picked a sport that has a better view or something when you're training. Swimming, you just watch the tiles up and down and up and down.
Yeah, you do, don't you?
Yeah. So anyhow, so I didn't have the motivation. Needed to get a job. So I found a job with a company called Economics Laboratories as a sales rep for North Wales, selling chemicals to farmers. And the only reason I went for that job is because it came with a company car. No real focus on, and I just needed a job that just paid something.
Yes.
So got a job with them, forgot about swimming completely, and spent 25 odd years with them. Well, all my working career was with Economics Laboratories. They shortened their name to Ecolab in the end, because Economics Laboratories is a bit of a tongue twister and a long one. It's not exactly zippy.
For sure.
And they sponsor McLaren and stuff now, Formula One. Great company.
An incredible company. I'm aware of them.
Yeah. Started as rep for North Wales, became manager of Wales, manager of the UK, manager of North Europe, whole of Europe, wow. And then in the end, my patch was Europe, Africa, Middle East. So top of Russia down to Cape Town.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Fantastic. We did some great work there. We, as part of a team, managed to turn milk into a disinfectant. And so we got the Prince Philip Award for that one. So I went down to Buckingham Palace to meet Prince Philip, and what an absolute star of a guy. And then the only issue I had, particularly in the last sort of 10 years with Ecolab, was when you've got a prosthetic leg, it's just like a stem. It's just a post.
Okay.
So when you wear suit trousers, and of course my job was flying around the world wearing suit trousers, your trousers would flap around it like a flag around a flagpole.
Of course it would.
So I was very conscious that when I walked through an airport or into a meeting room, instead of someone like you're looking into my eyes now, they don't do it. They look down at your legs because they're going, what's going on with your trousers? And you can see people.
Really?
And then what happens is I catch you looking at my trouser leg that's not hanging properly, trying to figure out what's going on. You catch me catching you. You now feel awkward. Nobody knows what to say until someone eventually says something like, if you don't mind me asking, how did you lose your leg? Which is a rubbish way to start a conversation. Mm-hmm. So I made 8 years ago a fiberglass copy of my good leg, tie wrapped it onto my prosthetic, put my trousers on, stood in the garden up at the farm where we are in Snowdonia, stood in the garden. My wife looked at me and she said in the wind she couldn't tell which one was the prosthetic. So it gave me this shape under trousers. It didn't look particularly great, but it was fine. It gave me this shape. Mm-hmm. And I noticed it then when I walked into the office. You weren't getting these micro glances.
Interesting. Okay.
So that was fine. And then me and Rachel, my wife, bought an old 1964 Land Rover with the lights in the middle. Yeah. Absolute wreck of a thing. Chassis had bust on it. Bulkhead had gone. Was used for pulling planes around in Gatwick Airport. So anyway, I brought it home as a project, and we started Christmas Day stripping it all down to make a nice vintage one. Got to spraying it, and finished spraying all the wings and everything. Had about half a litre of the spray paint left, which was 2-pack. It was going to go off. So I thought, shame to waste it because it's 20 odd quid a litre. So I took my prosthetic cover off, as you do, and sprayed the cover the same colour as the Land Rover.
So you've spray painted your leg the same colour as the Land Rover, is that right?
Yeah.
Ah, fantastic.
And actually I had some spare stickers from the Land Rover magazine that came through that said Land Rover's motto, which is one life, live it. So I stuck them on the side because you kind of go, that kind of works. Rachel took a picture of me sitting on the bonnet of the Land Rover wearing my Land Rover themed leg, and it went on social media on a closed Facebook group called UK Amputees, and it's generally discussions about what ankle have people got on this, that and stuff that's just amputee stuff. Mm-hmm. And someone had put one day, what car does everyone drive, for a bit of a change? So I posted a picture of my Land Rover. And within 5 minutes, a amputee from Birmingham had messaged me to say, "Where'd you get your leg cover?" He says, "It's cool." I said, "Oh, I made it myself. Can you make me one?" "Well, I suppose I can." So he says, "How much are they?" I said, "I don't really know because I've never made one. What costed it? I'll just charge you whatever it costs me to make it." That's fine. So I made him one, and we did it in like a Harley Davidson theme because he'd lost his leg on his Harley Davidson motorbike, and he'd now got a new Harley Davidson. I don't know any amputee that loses their leg with a bike and doesn't immediately go and buy a new bike when they come out. And so he got it. I rode his Harley Davidson to a bike meeting, and there was obviously another amputee there because there is always amputees in bike meetings. And he said, "Oh, where'd you get your Harley one from?" "Oh, Mark in North Wales made it. Do you think you can make one, a Yamaha one for me?" So I made a Yamaha one for him.
Gosh.
So we started making, every couple of months, making a leg cover. And then December 17, I'd made myself a Christmas leg. So made another cover, bent some nylon this time, heated it in the oven and bent it and then drilled some holes in it, and then put glitter on it and LED lights inside, so it looked like a Christmas tree.
So your leg looked like a Christmas tree?
Yeah, and then you could alter off your phone. I had a little app on my phone that when you press the colours on the app, the leg would change colour. The lights in the leg would change colour.
Wow.
So December 17, I was walking into Morrison's supermarket, other supermarkets are available, in Denby, with my, I always wear shorts and a t-shirt, doesn't matter what the weather is, with my Christmas leg on, all flashing, just to blend in, you know. And this little 4-year-old lad escaped from his mum and dad, his mum, sorry, ran up to me and he said, "Hey, mister, your leg's really cool." And I said, "Do you want to see something even better?" He said, "Go on." So I got my phone out, I said, "Press a colour," and the leg changed colour.
Wow.
And he was like, "This is the best thing since sliced bread." And his mum came up saying, "Oh, I'm sorry. I said, "It's fine, it's fine." And the little lad said to his mum, "Mum, can I have one of these for Christmas?" And she said, "Well, you can't because the gentleman's only got one leg. That's why he's got a magic leg. You've got 2 legs, so you can't have one." And the little lad was dead disappointed. Anyway, cut a long story short, I remember leaving Morrison's and still seeing the lad in Morrison's looking at my leg as I went out. And then I drove home from Morrison's up to the farm, up to Nant Lladron. It's a 10-minute drive, and had a bit of a flashback of when I woke up in hospital, not even being brave enough to look down under the sheets and realising I had one leg and thinking my life was pretty much over because I wasn't going to be able to do anything. And I thought, God forbid, if anything happened to that little lad and he went through the trauma I went through and lost his leg, maybe, just maybe, as little lads go, he'd go, "Does this mean I can have one of them flashy legs?" So that was the thought I couldn't get out of my head driving home. I walked through the door in Nant Lladron and my wife looked at me and she said, "All right, what's up?" So I said about the little lad, and I said, "You know, we've been making the odd leg cover for people and it's been fun. I think there's more to it. It makes a difference. I don't know what it does, but it makes a difference. It makes a difference to me and it makes a difference to the people who are looking at me." So we got a team of people together with a view to got to set a target. What's the target? Let's make the world's coolest prosthetic leg covers. Great support from the guys at Design Reality in St Asaph, who turned our design into reality. Yeah, we started selling these prosthetic leg covers. As soon as we launched the business, we were super fortunate. We won the Stelios Award for Innovation. So Stelios from EasyJet, he's now a philanthropist and trying to give away half of his £1 billion fortune. So we were fortunate enough to win his Entrepreneur Awards in 2018. So we got some financial support from Stelios and some good conversations with him. So that really set us on the track. I remember me and Rachel, my wife, company had been running about 6 months, and we were getting a reasonably steady flow of orders coming in, saying, wouldn't have thought we could have started any better than this. And the next morning, open the post, and there's a letter from Buckingham Palace in the post, and you think, okay. And it's one of them times, you look at the letter before you open it, and you go, why is this? And I opened it, and it was a letter from Prince William to say that our story had come across his desk. He understands that I'd lost my leg the day that he was born. He knew that his mum, Princess Di, was actually the lady that sent us off to the Paralympics in '88. I'd won his granddad's award, and he said it's great that something that started off as a real, potentially could have been really negative, has turned into something that's really beneficial for loads of people. And then we couldn't stop the ball rolling then. Obviously that got a lot of traction on the internet, mainly the EasyJet group. And then we were the first double award winners at the Conway Business Awards, so New Starter and Best Innovation. We won Great British Entrepreneur Awards, the big awards in the UK. And we won that for 3 years and been a finalist in every other year. And we're a finalist again for this year's, so fingers crossed. For that one, we got a contract with the NHS, so that means that any amputee in the UK can just go into their limb centre and say, I want a limb heart cover with my leg, and the NHS fund it. So it's great for the patient because they get great choice. It's great for the NHS because it saves them a huge amount of time, because they were trying to kind of fudge these things themselves, but starting from scratch each time. And it saves them a lot of money because it was costing them thousands to do this, as we pretty much made it like a t-shirt off the shelf. And then we formed a partnership with Steeper in the UK. So they're the oldest prosthetic leg manufacturer in the UK. And they just celebrated 100 years of prosthetics. So they're our main distributor of the UK. And we have distributors in 15 countries now, all over.
So you export to 15 countries?
Yeah.
Gosh.
I mean, we probably export to more than that if you take, because our main focus is to do B2B, but we also have an e-commerce website. So we send them all over the world if someone wants to buy them direct.
So how many covers have you manufactured? How many people have you?
We don't know exactly, because some people, when we started doing our business modelling, I thought if you were ever going to invent a niche business, this is it. Making plastic leg covers for amputees.
It's pretty unique.
You can't get it
pretty
anymore.
Unique.
And I never thought it would be a business that would be able to stand alone on its own 2 feet, excuse the pun. I got some data through from the NHS, which really changed my mind. Because I'd been an amputee for 30 odd years. I knew all the amputees in North Wales. There was about 6 of us. So you could see that this was never going to make decent money, could be a side hustle at best. But then the data I got through from the NHS showed that in the UK, you've got around about 700 new leg amputees every month.
Wow.
The US is about 700 new leg amputees every day. 30 million amputees globally. So if you take one of our leg covers, which is around about £300, times 7.1, times 30 million, it's 7.1 billion quid. So we only need 1% market share, and we were doing very well, thank you very much.
Wow.
And that was the time we realised, okay, this could be a standalone business. So today, we've made several thousand leg covers. This year, we'll probably do 1,200, 1,500 leg covers, something like that. So we're doing about 100 a month, give or take.
Okay.
Summer is obviously a lot busier than winter.
And I've been lucky enough to see some of the designs. Very, very unique. Some of them are very funny as well.
Yeah. The humour that comes out of fairly dark places is unreal. So we have 2 parts of the business. We have our standard range. So that's the range that we offer to the NHS and on our e-commerce site. So carbon fibres, and so that's like that's an ultralight carbon fibre.
Cool.
You can have a Welsh flag. So that's what's offered through the NHS.
Yes.
And by far, it's probably 90% of the business is our standard range. But then we have a full custom range where someone can come to us with an idea, a picture, a concept, whatever, and we'll produce a CGI model to start with that you can turn and see, okay, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Or it's better in the majority of cases, and I have to thank Sean, our graphic designer, for that. It comes out better than what they're even thinking in their head. And then they go, yep, we'll have that, and we turn it into the leg. Or we do tattoo matching. It's amazing, really, that we get so many conversations. The first time it happened, I thought, it's a bit of an odd way of looking at things. But it's happened so many times, it's obviously just normal, that people end up with a trauma, they lose their leg. They actually come to terms with losing their leg okay, but they struggle with the fact that they've lost the tattoo that was on their leg because it was so personal to them.
Wow.
So we get from old renders of their tattoo or whatever, we'll recreate the tattoo and give them that back. One in particular was a ex-para who lost his leg out in Basra he was in a snatched Land Rover or something, gone over an IED, it had blown the Land Rover up. He'd lost his leg, but unfortunately 3 of his squad mates that were in the Land Rover lost their lives. His consultant phoned me and said about the story, and he said he's really struggling because he had a tattoo on his leg of him and his 3 squad mates that I think was done actually in Basra. We recreated it and managed to get the faces right and everything, and I took it out to the centre and took it out the box, clipped it onto his leg, and the guy just looked at me, a 6'4" para, and said, "My mates are back." And you've got me, the consultant, and a para in just tears.
Blood to tears.
And then driving home from there, you kind of realise, okay, we're doing good. We're doing good here.
This is obviously a very successful business, financially very successful business, but it's also, what I love about it is you're helping so many people, and that's what means the world to you, I can tell.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I think it solved a unwritten target for me, that my 20 odd years with Ecolab, I think if I'm honest, and if I'd have been honest with myself during Ecolab, and I'd written the target down on the wall, what did I want to get out of Ecolab? I wanted to be rich, because I knew the very, very senior managers were on 7-figure salaries, and I wanted to be one of them. So that's why I was after always the next best promotion and everything, and the next best company car and all these kind of things, and the biggest bonus. And I can remember always coming towards the end of the year and going, okay, I need to get that to make sure I go with that threshold to that bonus type of thing. But it's only now, 7 years after starting Limart, do I realise what rich is about, and it's absolutely nothing to do with money. Mm-hmm. It's having those moments where people go, "Thank you, you've changed my life." Yeah.
Wow.
Because we wrote on the wall when we started Limart, okay, if people say this about Limart, we've got it right. And it was delivered on time, great value for money, fantastic quality product, great communication. I think that was it. So if people are saying that, you're doing it right. Nobody's ever said any of them, because we deliver them out and they go, "This is better than I ever imagined." You can't believe the difference this makes me feel when I walk into a room. Mm-hmm. Instead of walking into a room and someone giving you that awkward look that every amputee knows, you walk into a room and they go, "Oh my God, that's a cool leg." So it turns that, like I said earlier, that awkward start to a conversation where someone says, "I hope you don't mind me asking, but how did you lose your leg?" Which is a real negative one, especially when you get asked that once or twice a day. If you walk into a room and someone goes, "Oh my God, that is a cool leg," it flips it, doesn't just solve the problem, it flips it completely on it.
And right at the beginning of this interview, you said, and I was a little bit taken aback and I didn't quite understand, you said, if you could put me back on that road, mm-hmm. and you could tell me there's a car coming around the corner, I'd stay on the road. Mm-hmm. And now I get it.
Yeah. Because to move out the road would be, it would be a little bit like Bullseye. You know when you've won all the prizes?
This is what you could have had.
And you go, you can gamble all them for what's behind Bully's prize board.
Yeah.
Well, it could be a speedboat and I'm in the middle of nowhere.
If anybody's watching and they don't understand what Bullseye is, go and
Jimbo in from years ago.
Yeah.
Because I would never have been in the position I'm in today, making that kind of a difference. I would have never had these accolades thrown at Limart and myself. And last year we were, again, when you think within the business it can't go any better, we ended up winning the King's Award for Innovation. So down to Windsor Castle and a one-to-one with King Charles. And then on the back of that one, Bangor University recognising me for the work we'd done and giving me an honorary doctorate last year. So.
Incredible. We've kind of, unfortunately, we've kind of almost run out of time. But I've got one more question for you. And thank you so much for being on the podcast. Thank you for sharing that journey. I don't think I've ever met anyone with such an incredibly interesting story to tell and an incredibly interesting way of starting a business and solving a problem around the world that makes people feel better. Mm-hmm. It's been an absolute privilege having you on. Pleasure. Thank you. But my last question is, you know, you're obviously a very successful entrepreneur. What are the top 3 pieces of advice that you would give an aspiring entrepreneur that's thinking about starting their business?
I would say number 1, make sure that whatever you're going to get into, you're going to enjoy it. And that the number one reason for getting into it is not money. Because the amount of people I see that go, I'm going to do this because it'll make me a fortune, and they are as miserable as sin 6 months into the business. And also, as anyone will know running a business, it's not always rosy every morning. You get some great days where that just keeps you going. And you get some days where everything that can go wrong will go wrong. And if you get one of those days, or weeks, or months, where everything's going wrong, and on top of that, you don't actually enjoy the job you're doing, you'll jack it in. But if you have a bad month where everything that can go wrong goes wrong, but you actually love what you're doing, that's the difference between success and failure. So that's the absolute
number one.
Number two, don't ever believe anyone that says the product's that good, it'll sell itself. It never does. It'll be sitting on the shelf there, the most fantastic product in the world, gathering dust. Get out and sell it, because it's only you that can get that one.
And number three?
I'd say is the boring one, and number three is know your numbers. Know where you are, because sometimes it's so easy, I think, running a business, especially something that you're so enthusiastic about. So I could be an easy trap on this one, is you kid yourself that it's going all right, when it's actually not. And you really need to see, hang on, we're doing a whole lot of work there, but it's actually costing us a fortune. We're not actually making any money. So just make sure you don't have to be obsessive like some big businesses are, where weekday 1 and weekday 4 and weekday 12 and weekday 30 and where are we, and we're 2.2% ahead. It doesn't really matter to be that accurate. You don't have to weigh the pig every day. All you've got to make sure is you feed the pig.
Yeah.
Otherwise the pig will die if you just weigh it every day. So don't measure things to be into the grey, but know where you are.
So make sure you're going to enjoy the journey, because that makes the dark times a little bit.
Absolutely.
Don't believe anyone who says it's going to sell itself. And I use a phrase that the biggest risk to any business is just one word. That's obscurity. So make sure you get your sales right. Make sure you get your marketing right. Yeah. And the third one, and I'm a 100% believer in this as well, you've got to know your number. Yeah. Numbers are the language of business. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much for being on today. Excellent. And I'm really looking forward to getting to know you a little bit more. Let's get coffee sometime. Thank you. Thank you very much.